Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a curriculum review of the Oak Meadow second grade curriculum. We just got done doing this about a month ago, so I wanted to bring you guys kind of an overview of how well it worked and what's in it. I'm going to try to keep my personal opinions out of it as much as I can, but just for a runner, I do really like the Oak Meadow curriculum. So, but this is for those who are looking at the Oak Meadow curriculum now. First thing you'll notice, this is the old cover. The Oak Meadow company just changed all of their covers, I believe last year. So I got this before they did this, and I think I got it secondhand either off of eBay or Facebook. I can't remember because I bought two curriculums at the same time, and one I got off of eBay and one I got off of Facebook. But I'll walk you through, it's pretty much the same thing. So if you're buying new from Oak Meadow, I believe that the material and content are going to be very similar, if not the exact same thing. They just kind of changed the covers to give them a new facelift. So let's get right into it. When you order the curriculum, this is the complete curriculum, I will say. And I will also touch on the enrichment package, which I've touched on before in my other Oak Meadow review, which I will leave, where is it? I will leave over here or over here. I always forget where that's at. But I will also leave a link to the first grade Oak Meadow review. So getting right into it. So you will get when you order the complete package, the first two things you will get is a course book and a resource book. Now these are what the lessons look like. We'll start at lesson 1. What I really have talked about with the Oak Meadow curriculum are things like these. This is a weekly planner, and they have these throughout the entire course book. You can make a copy if you plan on selling this curriculum when you're done with it, or if you have multiple children, you can always make a copy of this. They do have a planner available on their website as well, but here's an extra tip, is that I got the same sort of almost exact sort of planner for like $3 at Target's back to school sale last year, and so just heads up on that. Now getting into lesson 1, this was the other thing that I've talked about in my other videos. It has a checklist. It has some notes and the materials needed. So when you're planning out your weekly schedule and everything like that, I love the checklist. So I won't actually use this because I do plan on using this for 3 children, and then I will be selling it hopefully at the end of that. Well, not hopefully, I will be selling this when I'm done with my 3rd child. So I won't be writing hardly anything in here at all, because I will make copies of all of these, or I'll just write them down in my own individual planner. So starting into lesson 1, you have a morning circle time, which is similar to what you have at Waldorf schools and in the Waldorf philosophy. This is just opening and closing verses, and each week you'll choose 1 or 2 songs, verses, or finger plays. Now, all of Oak Meadow, excuse me, grades kindergarten through 3rd grade also really benefit from getting the enrichment package. And I will just show you that real quick. This is what the enrichment package looks like. You have the guide to teaching the early grades, you have crafts for early grades, and you have healthy living from the start. You don't need these, but they do come in very handy because, like I said, a lot of the actual course material references these. The guide to teaching the early grades has all the songs, the finger plays, the poems, some illustrations of all of this, and that is that one. The Heart of Early Learning, I believe, is included in this enrichment package. I read this. I actually have like 2 of these because, like I said, I ordered my curriculum secondhand, and so a couple of them sent me this, The Heart of Learning. That's a really good resource book for parents, just to kind of motivate you as you start your homeschooling year. So that's Guide to Teaching the Early Grades, and then over here we have the crafts for the the crafts for the early grades, and they do have some illustrations in here, but these are just all sorts of different crafts. Again, you don't need this, but the books do reference it, and there are some really great craft ideas to do in here. Mushroom spore prints, Pandora's box, rainy day spiral mobile. We have not done a lot of these. Like if we were to do a craft, we might choose a craft out of here, but I have many other craft books. So, if you have other craft books, again, that's not necessarily, but they are pretty, and it's, there's some great crafts in there. try not to drop everything. Okay, and then Healthy Living from the Start. This is probably the least used book out of the enrichment package that I used, but they do have weekly lessons, and it's great. It really is great. It was just at the bottom of my list because a lot of it is kind of stuff that I teach my children without even thinking about it, without even really acknowledging. Hygiene, food, safety at the playground, healthy homes, you know, and they have for kindergarten through third grade, and then every few units they'll have a review so that you can touch on and kind of go back and review what you've learned, emergency situations and that sort of stuff. So that's kind of that always got pushed to the back burner whenever we ran out of time, which happened a lot this past year, as it always seems to do. So this one is one that I kind of pushed to the back. I think I stuck to it, you know, periodically. Like the first 6 to 8 weeks, I definitely stuck to it. But then after that, it was just kind of hit and miss. That if I had time for it, I would go back and do some of that. But most of the stuff in here, I talk about with my kids anyway. So that is the enrichment package that is available, that it goes along with the curriculum. And I mentioned that because it does say, you know, each week you'll choose 1 or 2 songs, verses, or finger plays, and that is all in that enrichment package. So you have your morning circle time, you have language arts. So if you didn't check out my last video, I really talked about how my oldest daughter, struggled with reading. And I wouldn't say struggled so much because the Waldorf philosophy does a delayed academic, and even in the first grade curriculum, a lot of it was like, you know, if they're not getting it, it's okay. Don't push them. Don't push them. You know. And so I made sure not to do that. And as far as sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. The word family book, we touched on that at the beginning of the year. We kind of we went through some of the word families of how different letters sound together, or, you know, those sort of things. Anyway, to make a long story short, by the end of this school year, my second grader is reading like crazy, like absolute crazy. So that has been so inspiring with me with this whole curriculum, because she wasn't reading at the same level as many of her peers were at the beginning of the year, which is normal as far as what I understand of the Waldorf philosophy. That's okay. And at the end of the year, she is taken off with it. Let's see. So we have language arts. They kind of touch on some of the things from last year. The word families book is not included in second grade. That was in the first grade curriculum. I actually bought the digital format of the word family, and I don't have a tablet, so I would really, and I'm a book person, so I would really recommend, if you're gonna buy any of the books, buy the books. Don't buy the digital copies. But that's just me, because I like real paper and books. They also have social studies. We went over several continents. We outside of this curriculum, we also did some geography and stuff like that. But they do have, like, this is the Oak Meadow Grade 2 resource book. You are reading this tale from China. So we're going to go over to the resource book, and this is where they, for the language arts, they'll break down consonant blends and digraphs. And then here are the word families that I just mentioned. They are kind of all here. They're not in a pretty book. The word family book has lots of illustrations, and it's really pretty. This just kind of breaks down the word families very simply for you, so you can review all over those. And these blends, short vowel words, it goes into all of that. And then you get into the stories. And long vowel words. So these are really helpful to review from first grade, and also to just kind of practice how to blend all of these different letters together with the vowels and everything. And then this resource book gets into the stories. And so the course book and the resource book really do go together. I don't know if you could do the course book without the resource book, because, like I said, it references the resource book with all of these you know, these fables and tales and stuff like that, and they relate to the course book. They've got science stories, and they've even got, let's see, science. I thought they had some math stories in here, but I think I was thinking of the kindergarten one. Science, oh no, here we go. They have, oh yes. These math stories are absolutely necessary for the math section in the course book, because it's talking about place value. And so the stories just go along so well with the projects that the kids will make in their main lesson book, or the ones that they will make. Okay, so you've got social studies, you've got reading, and let's see, then you get into crafts, mask making, and that craft is actually right in the resource book. You don't have to use the enrichment package for that. And then you've got the math, and then you have science, science, and then you have arts and crafts, and a lot of times that will reference the enrichment package, kind of like what I said. And then you'll have music and movement a lot of times, and then at the end you'll have health, which will also reference the enrichment package. And then you have a learning assessment, because let's see, here's your whole learning assessment. Really like this as well. So if you are in a state that you really have to keep track of this, or even if you just want to keep track of this for your own personal reference, this is great. Again, you can print this out and keep it in a binder or whatever like that, so you can keep track of how your student is doing. And that was just lesson 1, and then it gets into lesson 2 with the same sort of thing. So I'm just going to kind of skip forward and show you another lesson. Lesson 9, you have the materials you need, you have the checklist, love the checklist, you have notes, you start off with language arts, and it stopped telling you to do like a circle time, but again, you're doing a circle time, and then also it'll reference the readers. Okay, so I'll be completely honest, my daughter was not crazy with the readers. There are 4 readers in this curriculum, and it has changed, and I'm going to tell you how it's changed. So the covers have all changed with the new style that Oak Meadow just released this past year, I believe. So they still have, let's see, I'm having to read this. The animal, let's see, fables, that's still like that. Just So Stories, Ben and Meg. Yes, okay, the Animal Friends is now called For Fun Friends. So I'll show you what the size reading is in that. So that's what this reader looks like. So again, my daughter was not crazy with any of these. Like, she started on the first few pages, got bored with it, and I am not going to force her to read something that she's not crazy about, so I didn't. But she did a ton of reading with books that she found at the library on her own, so I really couldn't tell you how well these stories played out. I will tell you the ones that we did read out loud as a family, and those were great. I really enjoyed those. Ben and Meg, that's the size of the letters in there. And oh yeah, that's another thing, is that at the beginning of each chapter you have these words that are introduced to the children, and then they can read these on there. And they can read these on their own, and there are illustrations. Just So Stories, the print gets a little bit smaller. Still lots of illustrations in that. And then Fables, this one is the shortest one, and there are still, oh, we did read these. Yeah, I do remember reading these. These were, I think, at the beginning of the year that we read these. So these are kind of, fables that you've heard of before, The Boy Who Cried Wolf, and that sort of stuff. Okay, so those are the readers. In addition to that, you also had Animal Stories and The Voyages of Dr. Dolittle. Now, Animal Stories is now called Tuck Me In and Other Stories. So in the new curriculum, that's what that's called. But I believe it's the same sort of thing from what I understand off the website. This was a lot of fun. It's very thick. This is our nighttime reading at bedtime. So I would read these to all 3 of my children, and we would go through, they have like the Tale of Patty Muskrat, and then later on the Tale of Solomon Owl. So all the animals knew each other, but you would read like a book of the tales, like the Tale of Patty Muskrat. You'd read this whole book in the book, and then you'd put it down for a while and maybe read something else at night to give them kind of a break, so that we weren't reading this whole thing just the whole year through. And I want to say each book usually took about 4 weeks to finish one of the whole books of stories in there. And they're just very short stories. They're actually perfect at bedtime. Pleasing Johnny Green, that's 2 pages. and then the next night we could do that, or in one night we might cover 2 stories. So that was great for bedtime stories. I guess that's why they renamed it Tuck Me In Stories. Was it Tuck Me? Yeah, Tuck Me In and Other Stories. The Voyages of Dr. Dolittle, we loved this one. Again, this was, I read this out loud to my kids at night when I was tucking them into bed, and we really enjoyed this one because afterwards we got to watch the movie, and that was awesome. I've never read The Voyages of Dr. Dolittle, so it was a great book. We all really enjoyed that one as well. So those are also included if you buy the entire curriculum package. Now again, there's you can buy each one of these books individually. You could buy the 2nd grade curriculum package, or you can buy the 2nd grade curriculum package with the enrichment package. So if you've never done Oak Meadow, that's kind of the suggested thing, because they do recommend the enrichment package so many times throughout from kindergarten to 3rd grade, but that is optional. So let's take a look at lesson 9. So by this point, they're reading on their own in the Book of Fables, and then you're also writing in your main lesson book, and you're still, even 9 weeks in, you're still reviewing consonant blends. And that's kind of throughout this entire curriculum. You go back and you reference different blending sounds, the sound of O, and that's all the way up into lesson 22. And over here in lesson 33, you're reviewing the vowel sound of Y. So even though they're reading well, we're still going back and reviewing some of those, just to make sure that they understand the concept of how to read those different vowels and consonants. So then you have social studies and math and science, arts and crafts, music, and health. And that's pretty much the basics for each week. And then you have the assessments at the end, and then you get into your next week. Okay, so skipping all the way to the end. Now, some weeks it was easier on math. Other weeks was very heavy on math. I will have to say that because my daughter's really not crazy into math. She now loves reading. Now that she can read, she loves reading. But the math was, some weeks was very heavy, and other weeks was hardly anything at all. So skipping all the way to the end, you have the 36 lessons. The very last lesson is obviously very easy. That last week of school is just very easy. We actually did not make it to the end of this curriculum if you didn't check out my last video, because this year was just so crazy, and I'm okay with that. We gave ourselves lots of breaks. We are trying to do a year-round schooling, so we do 6 weeks on, 1 week off, something around those lines, but I feel very happy with this curriculum, very happy with this past year. I think that we did a lot. The last thing that I will mention is this. So this is what the new look of the 2nd grade curriculum looks like, and I got this when I ordered the 3rd grade curriculum. So this is the new look if you're ordering it new off the website. When I bought this, I bought it used, and this was the one book that did not come in the kit, which I was really sad about. But by this point, my daughter wasn't crazy into recorder, so we didn't do a lot of recorder at all this past year. We used another book. She didn't like that. We dabbled on piano. So I went ahead and got this for my other children, but also because in the 3rd grade curriculum, you're doing advanced recorder. So I am going to try to catch up on doing this one, of course, before I get into the advanced recorder book. But we'll just have to see how it goes. Because again, after homeschooling for a few years, I'm trying to give myself more leniency that if we don't get it all done, that's okay. I mean, I didn't learn how to play an instrument until middle school, so I'm okay with that. But this is the intermediate recorder. If you did not do recorder work in 1st grade, you're going to want to do that. And I guess that would probably be the only negative thing that I really have to say about, this, is that if you're buying just the 2nd grade without buying the 1st grade, then you might kind of be off track with the whole recorder thing. But of course, that's easily fixed. You just buy the 1st book instead of the 2nd book. But this is what it looks like on the inside, is that it introduces you to the fingerings. It tells you how to use this book. There are a few illustrations. There are some songs that they are familiar with, that they can get really excited about. Hickory Dickory Dock and Simple Gifts, Baa Baa Black Sheep. And at the beginning, even if you don't read music, it will walk you through how to read music. And I do know how to read music. And so this is very helpful for someone who doesn't do any music. It'll walk you through all the note names and everything like that. And it'll also walk you through, it's got a fingering chart and how to hold it and how to play it and everything like that. Okay, so I think that about covers everything that I can think of for the second grade curriculum. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment below. I hope this is helpful for you on your homeschooling journey. I know I've over the years, I've gone through so many different curriculum videos, and it's always been very helpful to me to see what other parents think about them and how they work, and just to get a real insight into what the inside of the books look like. So hopefully this helps you. If it does, leave me a big thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Oh, last thing, I have a third grade curriculum review coming up. We have not started the third grade curriculum yet, but I did get it in the mail, so I will go ahead and bring that to you guys to show you what the insides of those books look like as well. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!